Hey guys. We're finally back together. Look, we've got baby sleeping over there, and I know it's a bit sunny. We've got a bit of sun in the background, but anyway, yeah, we're multitasking here. We thought we'd do 2 in 1. So today we're talking about, and this is a conversation that we had via SMS when I was up north.
Yeah.
And I was watching, or I should say, I tortured my family watching the last episode of The Bachelorette. And there was a comment that was said, and it was while The Bachelorette was holding the hands of her tradie man, who was the better choice, by the way, and she was holding his hands, and she said, you know, I've been waiting for someone to come in my life to complete me. And the sound in the house while we were watching it was just like, oh my God. And then we started swearing and yelling at the TV. And the expression that came on the to-be groom's face was actually a little bit of shock. You know, he was a bit taken back by those words, because they're pretty powerful words, saying, you know, that I've been waiting for someone to complete me. You know, I mean, my response to that is, or actually the response that I did apart from the groaning was, what the fuck? So, Jane, the lady of love and relationships, what's your view on that little saying at the end of The Bachelorette?
Well, I think, first of all, I understand why she said that.
Yep.
Because I used to be in that situation where you felt like you're not enough until someone comes into your life.
Yep.
And this leads to a lot of women, and I've done this in the past, where we get into a relationship because we're afraid we're going to be lonely.
It's a big fat word, lonely.
But I believe unless you're okay with being lonely,
Yep.
and lonely it's not a bad thing, because sometimes you can be with yourself and be present and have, you know, reflective moments and still enjoy being with you.
Yep.
Number one thing is, if you're not enjoying being with you,
Yeah.
then how can you ask someone else to enjoy being with you? Second of all, when you feel like you're waiting for someone to complete you, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to find
Yeah.
the
perfect person to fit in your box of that completion.
But then you also put a lot of pressure on your relationship and the other person, because, you know, why should they have that responsibility to make you happy, to make you feel loved, and to make you feel complete? Shouldn't it be your responsibility at the end of the day?
Yep, to make you happy. Because I can say from, I can say from my personal experience, there was a stage in my marriage where I've never felt more alone in my entire freaking life, and I was married. So I sit there and I think about that, and I go, I was married and I was lonely. And that's really fascinating. So I had somebody to complete me, and yet I was really quite lonely. So, you know, I think over time I've really learned to be in my own space and enjoy my own company and be able to stand on my own 2 feet. And you know, a lot of people now ask me, are you lonely? Because I've been single for quite a few years, and I'm like, no way, I've never been more happy. And it's not saying that I don't want to share my life with someone, and I do anyway, but it's more about the fact that I felt more lonely when I was in my marriage at one stage. I'm not saying the whole marriage, but I'm going to say at one stage in my marriage I felt more lonely than I do today.
And I think it's also for you to feel like someone else completes you, that's a pre-assumption that you're not good enough.
Wow.
So you live in that state every day.
Can you imagine feeling like I'm not good enough every day?
Well, I've been there, so I know how it felt.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of pressure for that person. And look, I just don't feel like I should put any pressure on anyone, because why should they feel like it's their responsibility to make me happy? It will never be enough. It will never be enough, because they're not perfect. No one is. No relationship is ever perfect. feel like we have to find that perfect someone.
So first you've got the pressure of finding the perfect someone, and then you've got the pressure for them of fulfilling you.
Yes. It's just like we talk about the A and the H relationship.
Okay, so that is exactly what I brought up that night. So I was with the family and I was saying, Jane talks about the A and the H and the difference between the two. So definitely explain that, because I think that's a vital component.
So in a codependence relationship, the A is where you feel like someone completes you.
Yep.
So you rely on the other person to survive. So when they leave, you collapse. And that happens a lot in relationships because, you know, you've seen people stay much longer in relationship than
they
what they should. And you see, you know, moms putting kids through a lot of danger because they feel like, oh, I'm going to be a single mom, I'm going to be alone, I'm going to get out there in the new world, I don't know how to cope with it.
Yep.
So I'd rather stay in this relationship even though I know it's not healthy for me.
Yeah, and it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
This is your aim is to find a relationship that is healthy by it's an hate relationship where you share your own magnificence. And the only way you do that is first work on yourself, find your own magnificence and be okay with all your flaws and imperfections. We all have them.
Yeah.
And if you don't embrace these flaws and imperfections, then you project that into your relationship.
And I think that's like the foundation of the relationship is already starting off unhealthy.
But then, like I said, you know, when you look for someone to complete you, you already live in a state where you're not good enough. And if you're the common denominator...
Oh my God, okay, so that post came out the other day. It was one of our memes that was talking about the common denominator. So for people that don't understand what that is, when we meet people and they say, you know, all my relationships have sucked, or there's no, you know, there's always been a problem with all of them. There's no good men or women out there. We always sit there and we ask one question. What's the common denominator in every single relationship that you've ever had? And your common denominator is you. So you need to really think about that, because we're so busy blaming the other person. It's exactly the same scenario where we're wanting somebody else to complete us, okay? You can't have someone else complete you. You need to actually complete you, and then someone else that comes into a relationship enhances that relationship. And that's where the vital stuff comes from. So I know personally when we all said that, I mean, we were swearing at the TV. We ended up having like an hour-long conversation after this. And I turned around and I remember episode 1 of The Bachelorette. I did a video on it, Facebook Live, and I said there was only 4 decent blokes, which were pretty much the 4 that were at the end. And I said there is no way that this is going to work. I guarantee, and the rumours, my dad was saying that he'd read some rumours that they'd already broken up, because filming actually finishes and then the show comes on 3 months later, and he said the rumours were that they'd already broken up. Now, if you listen to her do that comment and saw his reaction, and it was a quick one, it was just like a bit of shock, that answered everything. Of course it's not going to work, because you're asking the wrong questions. I think that's come up a few times in conversation where I've said you're asking me the wrong question. This is when someone's come for advice. They've come to me with this question, yet that's not the right question. You should be asking me a completely different question. And we're messing that up, guys.
So the question is, how do you complete you?
Yeah. How do you do it?
How do you do it? And you know,
I say go out of your comfort zone.
I would say to work on yourself consistently, regardless of how much you've grown.
Yeah.
Because we are, you know, work in progress.
It's a constant work in progress.
Yeah, a constant one.
Yeah.
And the moment you think you'll get there.
Yeah, keep working. I've learned that because I've been on a major growth thing, you know, specifically a personal one. I was doing a lot of business stuff, but now I've realised that wasn't the problem in my business, it was me.
Because you're the common denominator.
Because I'm the common denominator. So it's like, oh, everything's been happening. Why? But it was me. So now I've gone on a personal growth journey, and you know, it has completely changed everything, you know, and I'm not going to stop growing. It's a constant learning and growing, because you can always better the version of you. So why
that
stop?
you attract a mirror of that in your life.
Oh my God,
My
yeah.
husband and I have been together for 8 years and we continuously growing ourselves. It's not about changing the other person, it's about changing you.
Yeah, oh my God, do we not always say we're trying to change it? This person's got potential, so I'm going to put them on lay-by, and you know
We
what?
always buy into potential.
I'm guilty of that. I actually used to verbalise that and say, I know you've got potential, I've got you on lay-by, and as a joke, but it wasn't a joke. And when I think back on what I said, I'm like, oh, no. Because we're thinking we can change the other person into who we want them to be, when it never will work. You change and then that can ricochet on. But if you're trying to force someone to change, they're more than likely going to fight against you.
And for them, you know, they need to change when they're ready for change. You can force it so much.
Yeah.
They can try to make you happy and they will change for a while.
And then
they'll
it never
just-
lasts. Yeah, it's a bit scary, isn't it? So, who knows, if we're on a roll here, we might do another topic. But thanks for joining us. So we're back.
Great to be back.
We're back. Can you believe it? We do have the little bambino sleeping over there at the moment.
Not really sleeping, but
Oh yeah, okay, she's awake now. But we've got lots of noise in here, so that's what's been allowing us to do it. So we're sorry if there's lots of noise for you guys, but until our next episode on Intimacy TV, bye guys.
bye.